Welcome back to EPM.org, Evangelist Pilgrim Missions. Today we are going to continue our multi-week Bible study titled Exploring God's Word, which will take us from the beginning of the Old Testament clear to the end of the New Testament. EPM.org also offers a weekly one-on-one Exploring God's Word Bible study, as well as we also offer the very same in a group setting, which can be scheduled by contacting me through this very page. Today, we have arrived at lesson number 41, week 41. It's been a long journey from the book of Genesis to where we find ourselves today. And in lesson 41, we enter lesson 12, chart 1, the Tribulation. And the first concept in today's message, in today's lesson, is God is a just God. God is a just God. For in the book of Revelations, chapter 7, verse 14, it is written, "Tribulation is not God's desire. It is a result of man's choice." It is not God's desire. It is the result of man's choice. God is a holy, and we are unholy. But He has made a way for us to become holy through the blood of the Lamb. For there to be a true loving relationship, man must have choice. And remember from our first lesson, God is not a permissive parent. When God says it, He means it. God's word is constant with God's nature, and it does not change. God cannot change His word, so He provided a way for mankind to keep His word. Tribulation is a time when God finally allows man to get his way. Has your parents ever just said, "Forget it, do what you want, have it your way, but don't come back to me crying when you don't get your way, or you can't handle the consequences or the punishment laid down upon you"? See, God is that same type of parent. He's not a permissive parent. When He says something, He means it. He is consistent in His word and in His nature. And tribulation is man's punishment. It is the end times that we will leave this earth that God created for each and every one of us. And those that are saved through the blood of the Lamb will enter heaven through the narrow way. But many of us that are selfish, that wants it our way, will be left behind and thrown into a fiery pit for eternity. When school children get murdered, we say we will handle it our own way. Prayer is not the answer. The Bible is not the answer. More evolution is the answer. More teaching that we are just animals, randomly evolving, is the solution. Every time there is a crisis, we constantly choose it as a worldly solution. God sent judgment in Noah's day, and he extended mercy for years and years and years. But eventually it had to stop. Do we live in a corrupt world? Do we live in a violent world? During the tribulation, the grace of God will be lifted from this world. And right now we are bludgeoning along with our political parties and making all kinds of mistakes. But there is an intercessory of prayer. And there are still times when God moves in our government. There are still times when God moves in our nation and in our society, and he helps us. However, in the tribulation, God will say, okay, I'm going to take my hands off completely, and will prove once and for all that man tries to run his own life, his own society, his own world without God. The results is under absolute chaos and destruction, and that will be tribulation. While some hearts are being hardened through the judgment of God, will use that judgment to begin to open their eyes of the Jewish people to the fact that Jesus is their true Messiah, and God will use his glory. The judgment comes in 3 clusters. There is a cluster of sealed judgment, like the wood cause of a rolled paper towel or a scroll, and you will seal it close with a soft piece of wax or a smear of clay. Only the person with authority can break these seals, and Jesus is found worthy. These are the seals, and there are 7 of them. In the first cluster, when the 7th seal is broken, there comes the 7 trumpets. In the second cluster, an inner string, they are revealing much like the sealed judgments are revealed. The first 4 come rather rapidly in, and the next 3 come over a period of time. At the blowing of the last trumpet, the judgment, there are the vials that appear. These vials include demonic influences that will encourage the world to turn against Israel. And God will use a man called the Antichrist, who will start out working with Israel, but will turn against them and rally the world to his cause. The second key concept today is our world will fall into deception. The key concept review for lesson 41 is God is a just God, and our world will fall into deception. Until next time, God bless.